I think one of the root causes that comes up a lot as I do this kind of work is worthiness. People have been told and somehow believe that they're not worthy
Yeah.
or they're not enough. Like I'm only enough if I get another certification or I have to prove, this kind of proving energy.
Mm-hmm.
And deep inside, we're all worthy. We're all
Mm-hmm.
complete. We've just accepted beliefs that, where we get in the trap of comparing ourselves to others or accepting these limiting things. And what I do is help people get back in touch with how do you be 100% your soul's truth again? So you get back to that blueprint of, we're all worthy. We're all worthy of having a really great life. We're all
Mm-hmm.
worthy of having prosperity. We're all worthy of having a job and a career that we love or a
Yeah.
business that we love.
All right, everyone. So today we have Carmen with us, and I can't wait for her to tell you her story and how she helps people. So, Carmen, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Um, well, I grew up on a farm in West Central Minnesota, so I'm a farm girl from a little town called Brandon, outside of Alexandria. And it's been kind of an interesting journey. I started out in the arena of counseling psychology. So that was my earlier part of my career. And I worked in higher education and also did coaching work um, in the corporate world. And so I mostly help people either with leadership coaching or people who are trying to figure out what they wanted to do with their career. Or either they were stuck in a career that they hated and they wanted to reinvent themselves and to do something else. And then in 2015, for the first time, I had a major kind of dark night of the soul in my own career. I was working at Adler Graduate School in Minneapolis, and I had my own coaching program. And suddenly I found out they were cutting my program. And I had a little private practice on the side, but I had kind of mindset stuff like, I don't know how to run a business because I'd always gotten clients by referral. My students at Adler Graduate School referred me clients. My leadership clients that I coached in the corporate world referred me clients. And I did a lot of public speaking, so that gave me visibility where people sought me out. But I didn't have a website. I didn't have a lot of the infrastructure for a private practice. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So even though I've been in business, with Intentionality LLC since 2003. It's really only been since 2015 that I've been completely self-employed. And it's been a wonderful journey. I shifted my focus to business coaching because what I've learned, because I've coached coaches all of these years, um, I've learned a lot about how to help people scale. And I've learned a lot that it's really a mindset piece that you have to scale up first. So that's a little bit about what I do and how I help people and how I got there. It's kind of by accident.
Yeah, which is really awesome. And I love what you do because I know myself that everything starts with the owner's mindset. And the coach that I currently have, Dr. Rob Kelly, that's basically all he helps us with is our personal lives. But in doing so, we're building our business faster and faster because you have a lot of blocks. You stop yourself a lot. The only thing that stops you is your mind. So as soon as you can, number one, you got to pinpoint some of the problems that you have and then work through them. Like everything just opens up.
Absolutely. Because I think we all have head trash,
Oh, yeah.
and some of it we're aware of, and some of it exists on the subconscious level because, we're programmed, primarily from birth till we're about 7. And we just kind of take in information without discernment. So some of that stuff gets in there that's kind of negative, about what we can do or have or who we can be. And a lot of it's really limiting. And so that's what I like to do is to help people understand What's blocking you on that subconscious level so you can remove it and replace it with empowering thoughts that can help you get you where you want to be. So,
Yeah, exactly. And what are some of the ways that you help people figure out what those, let's say, negative thoughts are that are holding them back?
sure. I use a process called theta healing, where because we're programmed, from birth to age 7, we're primarily in a theta state then. And we carry beliefs on 4 levels. And so the first level is your core level, so birth to where you are now, everything that you've taken in, your genetic level, so that's stuff that you inherit from ancestors. And a lot of that we're not even aware of that we carry in beliefs from not just mom and dad, but grandparents and great grandparents and so on. But we also carry what I call history level beliefs, and that's a sense of group consciousness of what we accept to be true, or possible or impossible. And that also can deal with past lives and oaths and vows that we've taken. So that's kind of an interesting one. And then we have our soul level beliefs. And that's because we're all here to learn soul lessons. We're here to grow and expand. And those are really deeper level beliefs. And so what I do is I get into a theta state. It's kind of like co-creation with another person. And I use a process called digging. So, how this differs from counseling or coaching is I don't want to get into your story so much because we're addicted to our stories. We kind of get dopamine, hits from our stories,
Yep.
and we want to hold on to these stories. And some of them are really limiting. So, I'm going to take what you might, come into me with as like a surface level. Like, I'm going to give you an instance. I worked with a young lady who had a lot of issues with anxiety. And that would, those issues were tripping her up in her career and her life. And so we started with anxiety, but I always want to dig. And so it's like, okay, when's the first time you recall ever feeling anxious? And so she told me the story about, being in second grade, again, right about that age 7 level. And she learned that she had dyslexia. And so she was put into a special classroom. And she was pulled from this classroom, and this little bully used to sit outside the classroom and taunt her every day and tell her she was stupid and worthless and all of this. And she started getting anxious. Every time she saw this bully, it became a coping mechanism. So we dug down to her root belief was she accepted what that bully told her, which was that she was worthless, and that was her root belief. And so I always want to ask the person, okay, that belief served you in some way. What was the lesson or the gift? And a lot of people don't always want to admit that there was a lesson and a gift, even from a really, disempowering belief, but it helped you survive. Okay. And she realized, it helped her cope. And the other gift was anxiety gave her some special perks. She got to have an emotional support animal in a house where, dogs and cats weren't allowed, but she got to have 3 of them, so there were some perks that she got from having anxiety. And then I always ask, are you ready to release it now? And what do you want to replace it with? And she wanted to feel calm in situations. She wanted to have that sense of feeling centered in her body and being able to really regulate her nervous system. And so that's what we did. So what I do is I make a command to your subconscious to let go of that old belief and replace it. And then I make a request of the creator. So it's kind of an interesting co-creation process. And
Yeah.
then I witness it. I'm the witness. I'm not the healer. I structure the process and I make sure that shift has happened. I got to do that earlier today with someone. So it's always
That's awesome.
exciting. And I know it shifts because I feel it in my heart chakra. And, sometimes I'll get a visual of it shifting as well. Um, the client today that I worked with, she saw herself with balloons rising above a really bad situation.
Wow.
And she saw herself taking this situation that we were ending and dumping it overboard on the ship. So she had a really cool visual where I
Yeah,
had
that
my
is
little
cool.
heart chakra. So that's just an example of how I help people. And I love it because it's transformational and it doesn't force you to relive trauma. You know, like this young lady, she wasn't living in this trauma of that experience of that bully. You know, we kind of touched on it, but we got to like, what was the root? And, then we were able to make that shift. So that's what I do. And I feel like I'm blessed because I get to witness miracles.
Yeah, you really do. And you are giving people the space and opportunity to give themselves miracles, which is just incredible. And that's what I love about what you do and what other coaches and counselors and therapists do. Like, we just help people get to that next level, help them heal, help them become a better person. Because that's what I care about doing the most, is just helping others succeed and be better.
Definitely. And I think one of the root causes that comes up a lot as I do this kind of work is worthiness. People have been told and somehow believe that they're not worthy or they're not enough. Like I'm only enough if I get another certification or I have to prove, this kind of proving energy. And deep inside, we're all worthy. We're all complete. We've just accepted beliefs that, where we get in the trap of comparing ourselves to others or accepting these limiting things. And what I do is help people get back in touch with how do you be 100% your soul's truth again? So you get back to that blueprint of, we're all worthy. We're all worthy of having a really great life. We're all worthy of having prosperity. We're all worthy of having a job and a career that we love or a business that we love.
Yep, we are. I believe that 100%. And it's just so awesome when you actually start to feel that way, because, like, you know how people feel that way again. And once you get to a point where you feel like you're worthy, you feel like you're doing the right thing, you feel like you're helping people, that feeling is beyond anything else, in my opinion. Like, you feel so good about yourself, and you feel like you can accomplish anything that you set your mind to.
I agree. And it's an inside job. We don't get that from external validation. We can have success and be validated by those things, but lasting sense of worthiness comes from within. And just knowing that, we're a spark of God, we're all powerful creators of our life's experience. And we're all worthy, like I said, of having a really, really great experience here on earth.
Yep, we are. And as soon as we can get out of our subconscious and into our conscious mind, the more we can do.
Exactly.
That's awesome. And remind the audience what your business is called.
It's called intentionality because I'm all about living with intention. Because I really think that my motto is, when you're clear about your intentions, you can live your truth and own your worth at the highest levels. So that's what I'm all about. And I created something called the Worth Code because of all this work around worthiness and worth. And so that's really a big cornerstone of the work that I do in intentionality. It's a 5-pillar methodology really around helping people embrace their worthiness.
And what are the five pillars?
Okay. The first one is wake up your why. So it's really getting in touch with, what's your purpose for being? Because we're all here for a powerful purpose. So helping people really understand, what's your vision, what's your mission, what's your why for being? Because we're all able to attract the things into our lives more easily if we have a reason. Um, So the worth is an acronym starting with the W for the why. The O is for owning your value. So it's getting rid of the head trash, that stands in the way, the imposter syndrome, the self doubt, the um, self sabotage, like perfectionism or procrastination, or things that we do when we allow our fears to trip us up, or when we overgive and undercharge, where we don't see the value of our expertise and our time. R is for replacing limiting beliefs and rewiring your identity, because your self concept is so critical to embracing the sense of worthiness. So it just like the process that I'm just describing to you, it's replacing those limiting beliefs, but also updating your self concept so that you embrace that sense of worthiness. The T is for turning your purpose and your passions into profit. So this is where I help people package their zone of genius into a high ticket offer that they can sell to their right fit client. And then the H is for harnessing aligned systems and maximizing visibility. So it's how do you scale with ease? Because a lot of times people think they're trying all these tactics and chasing shiny objects. And, you really need some clear, good, solid systems in place to scale your business. And it doesn't have to be complicated. So this is where I help people develop those. So that's what the Worth Code is all about.
This episode is sponsored by Atopic AI for Opportunity. Atopic is an AI-powered opportunity discovery platform, and the best word that I can describe it is ChatGPT. But instead of giving you information, it gives you real people you should be connecting with. Whether you're looking for clients, partners, investors, job prospects, or high intent leads, Topic makes it simple. You just type what you're looking for, and the AI thinks through thousands of signals, and then surfaces verified prospects with context, not random lists. It even helps you follow up, nurture conversations, and track your pipeline. What I love about Atopic and why I'm excited to have them as a sponsor is that they're solving the biggest problem in business growth, finding the right people at the right time. If you haven't yet, go to atopic.com and try it. It's one of the smartest tools out there for people trying to grow their business. I love that, and you're so right when you say it doesn't have to be complicated. Because when I started working with my mentor that I have now, that's like the first thing he did. He figured out everything that we were doing every single day and what we were working on, and he was like, "All right, do you need to do this? No. Do you like doing this thing? No. Okay. What are the things that actually make money? Well, these do. What are the things that you like doing for your clients? Well, these things." You're like, all right, now let's simplify it all. So we just broke it down into two things: testing and social media. So those are the two services that we have, and we're doing better than we ever did before when we had, you know, I bet you we had like 12 different services that we had, you know? And the cool thing is with what we do, I still get to be a business coach. I give my clients business coaching as just like a bonus. It's like your gift of working with us, you know?
I think that's awesome. And then you're able to really focus on what you do well and
Mm-hmm.
then find joint venture partners,
Mm-hmm.
for other things, good
Exactly.
referral partners for the areas that aren't your zone of genius. So that's smart that you are doing that. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's going good. And I like it. My business partner likes it, and we do partner with a lot of other businesses, and they're all happy because we send each other referrals all the time, and it just works out really good.
I think it's a win-win for everyone. We all need to have good joint venture partners out there.
Yeah. So for the listeners, how can they reach out and work with you?
Well, I would encourage them to connect with me on LinkedIn. You can connect with me on Facebook. You can find my page as Intentionality LLC, but my website is intentionalityconsulting.com. So you can find me there. Um, I'd love to set up a time to meet with you or call you. I've got all my social media links that I'd be happy to share with you. But I also just want to let your listeners know that I do a monthly workshop that's free. So people can have an experience of what I do at no charge, and it's called Unlock Massive Wealth and Abundance. And the next one is coming up on April 23rd. So I invite your listeners to, if that date doesn't work, find another date that does. I'd love to have you come and experience a little bit of what I do in that workshop.
Awesome. And I will put a link to that in the description along with all your other links.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. And then I just got one last question. So my slogan is your abilities are infinite. What does that mean to you?
Your abilities are infinite. To me, that means no limits. That means the sky's the limit. That means that we all have our superpowers, and the only limits we put on are usually self-imposed. And so I would invite your listeners to look at, like, where are you getting in your own way and putting limits on your potential and your, and the abilities that you have. And
I
also
like that.
just to zero in like you did on what you do well. So you're not trying to do a million things, but you really zero in on your superpower, your zone of genius.
Yep. And your superpower or zone of genius might not be anything that you think it is right now. Because I know that's how it was for me. I did not think I was going to be a social media expert. I didn't think I was going to help other people with their media because I didn't like doing it for myself. But once you have somebody that wants to pay for it and have it as a service, you get more interested in it and you want to learn more about it. And for me, I started learning more and I got more excited. And then like now I like doing it.
Oh, that's fantastic because you took something, and I think anything that you love doing is worth doing poorly until you become good at it.
Here,
'Cause nobody is good at something the first time they try it, right? We're
no,
all newbies at any new thing. And I think sometimes we put this horrible expectation on ourselves to be so perfect the first time. And we all have the capacity to learn and get better.
yep, we do. I agree 100%. All right, well, this has been really fun. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm honored to be here and just look forward to seeing more of the podcast and the wonderful things that you put out there.
Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit. Because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here, so let's just get it out there by word of mouth, help more people. All right, everyone. Remember, your abilities are infinite.